felt that feeling with just one hit, but now I want to try 10 hits, 12 hits, 20 hits, just to get that feeling. And that led to multiple job losses, maybe 5 or 6 jobs in a row, multiple near arrests, multiple near death experiences, multiple days I would go without eating, sleeping, or bathing even.
For the next half a decade, it was a downhill spiral.
That was it.
That was your life.
That was my life. It was up and down, topsy-turvy. There were moments in there where I would stop maybe 3 months, and think I'm changed. All of a sudden I have money in my pocket again and I'm tempted to just go and find it, So the root of the problem was not really solved. And you can't solve it once you feel that high the first time. The problem.
Yeah. That's as good as it gets. I guess that one time is as good as it gets.
That's it. You'll never feel it again. Never.
Yeah. So if you're just tuning in today, we are talking about addiction and strongholds. So I pulled out a definition of strongholds in keeping faith on trial. What the Bible say about a stronghold. So the word strongholds is found once in the New Testament, used metaphorically by Paul in the Christian spiritual battle. Though we walk in the flesh are not of the flesh, but divinely powerful for the destruction of strongholds. Did it feel like a stronghold for that 5 years?
I had no power
at all.
I had no power at all. Even when I felt a few moments where I felt like I have it under control, I'd find myself slipping again. You don't have power. You're powerless. Totally powerless. Yeah. So no, I feel like no other human being can help you because the power that is needed to help you out of this thing is greater than the power that is in us, that we have.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so that's the voice of Tapiwa, who's talking to us about a drug addiction. There's just so much to unpack when it comes to his journey. We're also going to be hearing from Panashe Mahlokozera, who was addicted to pornography and masturbation as well. So there's just so much happening over there. But I also want to go to an interesting episode in your life.
Yeah.
You're chasing the feeling. You're making bad decisions after bad decisions.
Yeah.
And there was a time when you started staying with a drug lord, so to speak. Tell us a bit about that incident.
His name, I don't know if he's still alive, but we used to call him Daddy. He was one of the king dons of the neighborhood I stayed in Midrand. And his daughter actually introduced me to him.
So you had a relationship with his daughter?
With his daughter, yes.
Oh, right.
I thought it was a relationship, but there's nothing real in the streets.
So it was
just a let me use you to get what I want.
Get what I want. You use me to get what you want. I use you to get what you want.
Yeah.
So you and the daughter weren't really in a relationship as such.
No. It was just a fake lust and all that.
Yeah, it wasn't love.
No.
Yeah.
She found me smoking and she told me that the stuff I was smoking was not as good as the stuff that her father sells. And I was shocked. I was like, your father? How does your father sell drugs? Does he know that you smoke? She was like, yeah, She took me to that house. I spent 2 months and I neglected the house I was renting in. And I didn't pay
So
rent.
you were staying at her house whilst paying rent at your house?
Someone else's, yeah. But then I forgot I neglected paying rent for 2 months and they kicked me out. My suitcase.
So one day you just got there and relationship back.
And yeah, everything was out. My passport was gone and lost, and that's when everything just took a turn. This man took me in like one of his sons. He was like, don't worry, my brother. I'll take care of you. Come. And he took me in and I felt loved. I felt like this is it.
Yeah.
He would wake me up every single day like clockwork to go to work. Because if I lost my job, then that means
you can't buy drugs for you.
Exactly.
So that was the deal.
That was the deal. And the deal went further to say I would get drugs on credit from the 1st of the month to the 15th of the month worth 8,000 rand. Because my salary then was 10,000 rand. It's too much.
That's a lot. 8,000 rand worth of drugs.
Yeah. My salary was 10,000 rand. So
that's all of it?
That's everything. Because he gave me his little corner room. He says, I'm going to pay 2,000 rand for the room. And the rest. So I had nothing to my name.
So you have nothing?
Nothing.
So the remaining 2,000 was rentals?
Yeah.
8,000 was, look, I'm going to give you drugs for half a month.
Yeah.
So, okay. It's not adding up. Half a month of drugs leaves another half of no drugs. What would you do
I would have to make my own way, and I used to be ashamed to say I started stealing at work.
Wow.
I was a manager, so I had access to many structures and operations, and I started stealing money from my work. And even then, I'd come 500 rand, 700 rand. Before I even go to my room, he would open the door for me, and I'll pass it straight to him.
And then he would give you drugs, and then you go to your room.
The times when I didn't want to smoke, where I feel like I have it under control. Today I'm not smoking. I go to my room, next thing a knock, and it's his daughter. She comes in, she caresses me, and she makes me buy drugs.
So he would use his daughter to manipulate.
Exactly.
So like what you're saying, it wasn't love, it was lust of some sort.
Yeah.
So she comes, she makes moves on you, and then
Just like that.
What were you taking? What was the drug?
My drugs of choice were crack cocaine at the time.
That's expensive. That explains the 8,000.
So expensive. So expensive. 50 rand a pop. And it only lasts for like 2 minutes, so you want another one immediately. So you keep wanting more and more and more. And I eventually transitioned. When I lost all my jobs and I couldn't afford it anymore, I eventually transitioned into crack cocaine. Crystal meth.
Whew. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's just a lot. That is a lot.
True story.
Yeah, that's just a lot. So if you're tuning in, this is a Faith on Trial, and we are talking to Tapiwa. Tapiwa is telling us about his story. He suffered from deep drug addiction for half a decade. He was lost several jobs, lost everything, and we're just going to be continuing to talk to Tapiwa. And we've got a quiz question, as we always say. We always have a quiz question, don't we? Yeah, so our quiz question of the day is, how many people saw Jesus after the crucifixion? How many people are recorded in the Bible who say they saw Jesus after the crucifixion? That's our quiz question of the day. And as usual, after we're done, we will give you the answer to our quiz question. You can send in a WhatsApp on 0772162651, 0772162651. That's also a phone number. 0714414413. That's also a phone number. If you want to phone in as well, you're welcome to do so. In the studio with me, I'm also with Noreen Wiridari, who is our mental health expert in the studio with us today to try and demystify some of these things. So let me come back to you. When it comes to drug addiction, witchcraft. There's so many things that are spoken about. It seems mythical. It seems like, but for the most part, for me, it feels like there's a misunderstanding. How can we be more reasonable and understanding to situations like these? Because maybe there seems to be that lack of empathy outside.
All right, so like you did say, it's an illness just like any other illness, and I think for the longest time we have tried to say this. So if I fall, like right now in this space, and I break my leg, like break my bones, whichever, even if you want me to stand, even if you want it for me, and even if I want it for my son, the structure of the bone at this state is not allowing me to stand. So which is maybe what he was talking about when he spoke about the loss of control, the loss of power. It's just seemingly impossible. Yes. So like he did say that you get that feeling once, it's also quite insightful now because this whole process, there are lots of chemicals involved. So it's like you get a surge of the feel good hormone. Thereafter, now to get the same amount, it's what now he's calling the continuous chase. You want whether it's 50 mils. So you now want probably higher than 50 mils. And probably it's not coming. So what you then do is you're taking 2 grams to get the 50 mils initially. So you come back, you take the 2 grams, you feel, maybe grammage is shoma. You go to 4, you go to 6. But you are not, because remember I said it's a chemical process. Yes. So when your body is also beginning to tolerate this, your body is beginning to need more. So all I'm saying is, it's not kujitisa, it's not like wakaja, but like we did say, when we try to define this thing, maybe what I'll also add is this: when we speak about mental health issues like substance abuse itself or any other addiction, there are things that we have said they cause them, and we can't pin one of them to it, but I'll just share them in their detail. Number one, we have said sometimes it's biological, where there are certain structures within the human brain that are shaped in a certain way among those who are like abusing drugs compared to those who are not. That's for some. For others, they have said maybe it's just the environments. We talk about the parenting, we talk about the exposures. You grow up in a place where this is done, this is normal, it's acceptable. Sometimes we talk about like you experience something traumatic and then it gets you to start doing this. Then we can also talk about maybe the genetic factors, where they spoke about heredity. If this has happened in someone in the family, it can then happen. Then lastly, we want to talk about how an existing mental illness can also lead someone to substance abuse.
I'm just depressed.
Yes.
I don't
think we're going to run drugs. It's not like you said, someone is talking about how you're feeling low, let's do this. Then you are genuinely wanting to escape that place you're feeling you're in. Then you do that and it makes you feel better for that moment. Wouldn't you want to go back to that thing that makes you feel better, or to that thing that makes you feel less anxious? So, and then afterwards now, the compulsion begins. The chemicals are now playing havoc with you.
That's the voice of Noreen Widari, who's a mental health expert in the studio. And there's a spiritual aspect that I want us to talk about. So there are a lot of spiritual things that are mentioned when it comes to addiction and strongholds. And let's get to hear from Panashe Mashlokozera, who battled with pornography and masturbation for 10 years and had to wrestle with it. But she broke free, and she explains that there's a lot of spiritual implications to it.
I was just wondering what is going. Why can't I get this thing off? And sometimes you go on social media or on Google and you research more about masturbation, and you hear Google telling you it's good for your body, it's good for your soul, it's good for relaxing. And for me, I get to a point where I was like, well, if I'm not having sex with anybody else, then it's okay for me to do it by myself, because at least I'm not sinning in that way. But I actually didn't know that this thing was actually it was actually killing me more than I even knew. Okay, for me, pornography was something that I struggled with because it was introduced to me through social media and stuff like that. I knew I didn't want to keep falling into the sin, but still I find myself in it. And I remember just studying the book of Romans and how Paul talks about offering your bodies as sacrifice to God. And I was just wondering, is this a sin? Am I wrong for doing this? And God just began to teach me sex, like what is sex as a whole. And I began to learn more in how much it's more spiritual than it is physical. Whenever you feel that heavy burden that is pressing on you, just telling you do this thing or get into this masturbation thing, you're actually under a demonic attack. So all the time that you feel like I don't want to do it, sometimes I'll be sitting, I don't want to do it, I don't even want to get into it, but I just feel like a heavy burden on me just saying do this. And then God just started teaching me about how I was under a demonic attack. Most of the times when you get into that act of masturbation, it's usually you having sex spiritually with a demon. Unknowingly to you, you are engaging with a demon in the spiritual world. I was struggling with relationships. My relationships weren't working out. I mean, I want to believe that it was also rooted from that. Demons get access to your body, they get access to your soul, and now they have treated you like as their own space. So that time when you start to feel like the pressure of you engaging in the act, it means that the demons want you to feed their appetite. So for you to feed their appetite, you have to masturbate, or you have to watch pornography, whichever it is. And I was like, God, I don't want this anymore. Like, I don't want, please take it away. Because I remember there was a time I sat on my bed and I was at home and I just started crying. And I'm like, God, I don't know what to do. I can't tell this to my family. I can't tell this to any pastor. And I felt like it was a shameful thing to talk about, because I was like, if I tell someone and they look at me, they'd be like, so this is what she does in your private time.
So that's the voice of Panashe Mahlokozera, who details her struggles with masturbation and pornography, and she gives a spiritual aspect to it, and which is perhaps something that Tapua, you hinted to a little bit when you spoke about how it's spiritual. For you to escape this, you have to tap into more than just flesh, because you're not wrestling against flesh. I think that's what I'm kind of hearing here from Panashe. Tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey whilst you were addicted.
Okay, to be honest, E.T., we can want to use medical terms for addiction, and respectively so, because it is what it is. You are ill when you're addicted. But the thing that brought you to that state of addiction is not of flesh. It can't.
It's not of flesh.
Because remember when that
so
girl,
you concur with this girl who's saying, guys, it is a demon attack that I was under.
100%.
Because she would say that I'll get heart palpitations.
100%.
She would say that I'll get moody.
100%.
And I would want no one around me.
Yeah.
And when people leave my space, I'll start indulging.
Yes.
Because now I've, you know, the stronghold.
The stronghold.
Yeah.
The difference is one is self-pleasure, and the other one is actually you have to intake something and you buy from someone else for you to. So when I was tempted, that first time that girl offered me a pipe, that was a strong temptation. And at that time, I had no covering upon my life spiritually. I grew up in the church. I grew up going to Sunday school, muvangeri chaimo, you know. And I love a verse that I wrote down here, Proverbs 22 verse 6, which speaks about train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Yeah.
Now that I'm old, I will not depart from that training.
I like the interpretation there.
You see what it
I
says?
like it.
But in between, I got lost.
Yeah.
You know, but I still won't depart from it. But during that time, there was a strong spiritual force that was working on me, because I would never ever in my life imagine myself putting my mom through what I put her through. I am a firstborn son, so to put her through that stress and knowing that she already has high blood pressure, and to see her go through what she went through, sleepless nights, crying, looking for me for 3 months, I would have never thought me as Tapiwa, the one I know, the one I grew up to be, head boy, primary school, senior prefect, high school, basketball captain, gentleman, and you know, I never thought I would be able to do that. There was definitely something inside of me that was not of this world.
Yeah.
That was working. So we can never rule out the spiritual aspect. Ephesians 6:10 says it plainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of manipulation did you then do? Because I imagine at some point you lost your job. You had to have lost your job at some point, and you had to feed the addiction somehow.
Yeah.
What were you doing to feed this addiction?
Okay, what I used to hang around with criminals, like hardcore 15 years in prison type criminals.
They're
rapists.
out, and
We used to hang out in cliques and circles. So they used to do the hard things. They would want to go and rob people. And look, I've taken part in one or two, but I've never really done anything that serious to distress someone else's life for my own enhancement. What I would do is, because I was given this gift by God of speaking and the gift of the gab, I would go door to door, knock on white people's houses, and I would tell them, listen, my name is so and so. I have 2 little boys. Our shack. This is just an example. Kunyeba was the story of my life. Also, I have 2 little boys. We live in a shack. The shack burnt down because the neighbor was drunk and whatnot. Please give us anything that you have. Clothes, shoes. I never ask for money, because once you ask for money, they know.
They know that
Drugs.
drugs.
So I would say, give us clothes, food, whatever, any old appliances that I can fix and stuff. They would give me gladly. White people always have something in the garage. We knew that. They would give you gladly. And the funny thing, when you're walking away, they were like, oh, shame, man, here's 100 rand.
And then
Also
they give you money as well.
That's how good I was.
Wow.
So the manipulation aspect is real. Any addict, anyone who's addicted to alcohol, drugs, whatever,
They manipulate.
Master manipulators. And that's another thing. Sometimes it's not you. It's the spirit that's inside of you. That's because Shama we got in the I would walk during COVID. During COVID, I imagine my lockdown. You were not allowed to be seen after 12 midnight. I would be caught by police around 2 a.m. Where are you going? Whatnot. If I'm on a CV bag, I'm looking for work. Search. My copper cables. Manipulation at its best.
Yeah, that's trying to feed the addiction, which
Anything,
then leads you,
any
which
cost.
leads you into anything.
Yeah.
Tinascana anywhere more street, Noreen. Sex addiction.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, because we're talking
Gambling.
about Panache was saying, I'm addicted over 10 years, masturbation and pornography.
Yes.
But Tikuti is it's
Well, you see, the thing is, sex addiction is also real. And like we did say, we look at, is it something that you crave? Then it compulses you, like you want it, despite you knowing that this is creating problems in my work, in my relationship with other people. So the definition is continually, you're doing something and you're feeling I needed to keep going, but you're also thinking, okay, things are getting affected, like work, maybe relationship with others. I think you spoke about how Panashe would feel edgy, she would feel moody.
Yes.
All those things are quite familiar. It's the drive, the desire, it's like you're getting edgy, you're getting anxious because you want something done at this time and it's getting late and you want to get it done. So it's like, I want it and I want it now, whatever it is, be it the substance. So addictions, like we just say, they come in many forms. Sex, the pornography, the gambling is also another form of addiction. I think, we have had wake alcoholic,
yes,
those
like
kind
that.
of shop alcoholic. So that's just like maybe the lower range, but it's a range.
Yeah. I know pornography is something that many people might be addicted to. They might know it, they might not know it, they might want to cover it up. And I just tip my hat to Panashe for just coming out, saying it as it is, and realizing that there's a spiritual warfare that is being fought behind the scenes. If you're joining us, this is Faith on Trial, and today we are talking addictions and strongholds. And in the studio with me, I'm with Tapiwa, who is sharing his story on drug addiction and how he broke free from it. And we are diving deep into that. We also have Noreen Awididari as well, who's our mental health expert in the studio. And we just heard from Panashe Mashlokozera, who struggled for over 10 years with masturbation and pornography. So these are real life situations. These are things that are happening. And if you want to get in touch with us, drop a WhatsApp. Send Rua a WhatsApp on 0772162651, 0772162651. That's also calls, and WhatsApp 0714414413. That's also for phone calls. And I know, Rua, you've had your experiences. You've been in the company of people that were addicted to pornography.
They were moody. Like most of the characteristics Panashe mentioned in her, in her audio, to say like they are moody. You probably say, he's an introvert. He doesn't like being around people. But like there's an addition behind that.
Yeah.
So they are moody. Usually they don't cut their hair.
They're just scruffy.
They are scruffy. Yes, they are scruffy. They are dirty. Yeah. And with the pornography addiction one, it's a she apparently. She was always doing it because she says that she was raped when she was a child.
Yeah.
So I think those scars, those scars, they hadn't healed or they haven't healed. I don't know.
Yeah.
So like it keeps coming back and back and back and back and back. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because Panashe also says she was exposed to sex at a young age.
Yeah,
as
child
well,
pornography, yes.
through being abused and things of that nature. It gets deeper and deeper, and we're just happy that Panashe then saw the need to turn to God with things like these. So today we are launching our WhatsApp group, where you can join the WhatsApp group, Faith on Trial WhatsApp group. It's only going to be one group, like Rua says. So, because join so click on our WhatsApp status, our official WhatsApp number. Click the status or the description, and you can just join the the group that is on there. So do make sure that you join that. So a lot of people asking here, what happened to the members of the gang? We know that you eventually broke free. You know, is there a story that you can share with us of someone in the gang, how perhaps you escaped, you know, by the skin of your teeth, by breaking free from wrong company?
Yeah, I wish I had tissue. I get emotional when I say this because I know of one who died a very gruesome death.
What happened?
2 weeks after I stopped. I remember we were sitting on a stoop, we were planning, and this was at a time in my life where I was getting really out of control with my addiction. He was telling me about 2 firearms that he had picked up in a dustbin, and I didn't want to believe that he picked them up. I think he had done one of these taking guns from the police.
Something.
Yeah, and he was telling me where he had them. He kept them somewhere, and he said one is for me, one is for him. And we were supposed to go on a mission, so to speak, to terrorize one certain community. And I'd never done this before.
With your guns and
with my gun and his gun.
And his gun.
Yeah, I'd never done this before. I was scared to even think of it. And funny enough, we planned it, let's say today, Monday. By Thursday was when God turned my life around and I stopped. So after that, I went looking for this guy. You know, like I wanted to talk to him and I wanted him to experience what I'm experiencing, the freedom. And I met another friend of ours, who told me that the community caught him with these 2 guns, and they put his head on a stoop, and 2 big guys picked up a boulder and they smashed his head, and that's how he died. So that's just one instance. There was another one who was burnt by petrol. There was another one, 2 other guys were locked into the house that we usually used to sit in because they stole a pit bull puppy. So the owner of that puppy found them and they locked them in the house for 3 days, beating them and just torturing them. You know, so all these things happened straight after I stopped. And
so the gang kind of disbanded,
and it was never a gang. But you can't say it's a gang of loyal people. When you're on drugs, there's no loyalty.
You're like comrades. You're fighting the same fight.
Yeah,
it's not like you are legitimate friends, but you're just fighting the same fight.
Yeah.
So you quit, and they then.
Some of them are still struggling up to now. I'm actually hoping one of them is listening to me now, because I begged that he listens to me. Some of them are still struggling, but I pray for them every day. I pray for them.
Then there are things called triggers. You know. Tell us about that.
Triggers come in many forms. Could be excitement. For me, whenever I got paid, because I was very good at my job. Whenever I got paid,
forgive me for laughing. You sound like a man. You're triggered by some money in your pocket.
Whenever I got paid, I got excited.
It was a trigger.
That was my biggest trigger. 100%. Or sometimes disappointment. When a lady broke my heart, I'll be like, let me just go and smoke. You know. Or even just a visual of the pipe, you know, maybe in a movie, in a scene, I'm like, now I want to smoke, you know, and that's how triggers work. They come in many different forms.
Whoa. Yeah. Ooh, that's quite something. We also spoke to Panache about triggers, and she also told us about some of the triggers that she also had to fight, and some of the specific things that she had to put into place for her to overcome.
One thing that you have to know is that when you struggle with masturbation and pornography, those are things that you do not just say, today tomorrow I'm no longer doing it, because it's already an addiction inside of you. So when you start to deal with an addiction, it means that sometimes it happens gradually. Maybe you can decide to say, I'll go 2 days without doing this, or I'll go 5 days without doing this, or I'll go 6 days without doing this. And I had to start to learn that the time that I was spending watching pornography, it meant that I have to spend that time reading my Bible. I had to try to implement new behaviors, okay, so that I do not continue to engage in a thing that I knew I didn't want to be a part of, because I knew God delivers, I knew God is a redeemer, strong, but I also knew that I had to be very intentional. Sometimes I have to like literally just open my door in my room, because sometimes because masturbation thrives in secret, there's no way you can do it while everybody else is looking at you, like no ways. And another thing was for me to check some of my triggers, like were there movies that I was watching that were causing me to actually fall into this thing? Was there a person in my life that was causing me to fall into the sin? And all of those things are things that I had to decide to say, you know what, I have to stop watching movies that have these kind of scenes because they are a trigger to me, or I have to stop listening to music that has these kind of lyrics because they are a trigger to me. And I had to let go of someone that I thought was gonna be my husband. I had to let go of that person because it was also another trigger that would cause me to fall into the sin. And I also don't even know how it ended. All I know is that the power of God just came and did what the power of God can do, and it delivered me. And even sometimes when God had delivered me, I still fell. Like, how? Like, God, you just saved me. What is going on? And but sometimes that is when the enemy comes, because he wants to condemn you, and so he comes when you fall and tells you, so listen, so you can see you can do this. So I have to learn that even if I fall in the hands of God, and I still go back to him, and he helps me out. And God is so loving, and God is so faithful, and I want to spread that kind of freedom that comes with just like I feel so alive because I don't have that burden anymore.
Yeah, you can't help but be emotional. You can't help but be emotional when you're listening to Tapiwa and you're listening to Panashe all at once. You mentioned that verse about train a child the way he should go, and when he's old he won't depart from it. Panashe actually mentioned something along those lines. That Scripture Union, I just need to shout out Scripture Union.
Amen.
Scripture Union.
Bring it back.
Yeah, she was part of Scripture Union. So when she was in Form 2, they had some sex education that they did, and when she needed to pull it out, that verse from deep down somewhere, that teaching she did.
Wow.
And so maybe for the parents that are listening, don't give up sending your child to those Bible studies, and just drill those morals and values in them. Wow. So that's the story right there. So Tapiwa, I want us to talk about how you broke free from the house that you were staying in, and what then led to you actually becoming today what we see as a survivor.
It was a Sunday morning, and I'd woken up to go to the kitchen because that 2,000 I was paying for rent included food. So that Sunday I went to the kitchen to look for some food, and this guy's youngest son, his name was, I won't know the name, but he came and he tugged at my jeans and he says, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "I want something to eat, I'm so hungry." And he says, "My mom and my dad are hiding food for me."
What? But you're paying rent towards them.
You're paying rent.
You could give them 10K.
I mean, come on, at least give me something 50, right?
Yeah,
KFC. And I was like, okay, so that just broke my heart. And it made me realize that I'm in the wrong place. I'm not appreciated. What am I doing here? And I went straight into my room. I walked past him to go to the kitchen to find food. I got my information and I walked past him again. He was lying on the couch watching soccer. To my room. When I got to my room, I just broke down, started crying. Started praying, "God, what am I doing? Come on, enough is enough. Please help me, give me strength. And I was just praying. I was praying under my breath because he could hear me if I prayed aloud. And I just felt this strength to just pack my bags, and I walked out and I'm like, "Daddy, I'm leaving." Lucky enough, my father had organized a friend of his in South Africa to find me a place to stay. So he had the money ready. He says, "Whenever you're ready, call me." So I found a way to contact him. He gave me that money and I moved out.
So all this time there was money for accommodation ready for you.
It wasn't going to be given to me in my hand.
Yeah.
It was going to be when I'm ready to move out, because I had come out clean to my dad to say, "I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
And I'm staying with this dealer. I can't leave. I don't know why."
Must have been tough for the body.
It was tough. He didn't believe it. He was like, "You, my son, you." And this was in year 4 of my struggle. So the first 3 years no one knew.
You stayed with this girl and her family for a year.
For 1 full year. With 2 pairs of boxes, might I add.
2 pairs of boxers.
Couldn't even buy myself boxes that whole year.
That whole year.
My mom would call me asking for money to help fix a car, like 1,000 rand.
Yeah.
Always make up an excuse. These white people are not paying me. They're not paying me. You know, just she even drove one time to come and see me at my worst. I was so skinny, and she said to me, "Leave your job, leave everything, get in the car, let's go." And I said, "No, I've got it under control." And she left in tears.
Because I can imagine what your health now looks like.
Oof.
And what things you were doing there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I looked sick, to be honest.
Yeah.
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 So I found the courage, left, went to stay with a friend. I didn't stop immediately. I kept smoking, but eventually I resigned with immediate effect at the hotel I was working at. I took my money and I ran. So for the last month, I was still taking stuff on credit from this guy. I ran the bill up to 8,000 rand. When it got to 8,000 rand, I found a way, because he had my bank card, by the way, and my PIN code. He kept it with him.
So when you left the house, he still had your bank card.
Yeah, he still had it, because I owed him a bit of money. So I said, hold on to the card.
Yeah. So
But I had
when
a
the
plan.
salary comes in,
He thought he was gonna take it, but
Yeah.
I had a plan to go and take that money without my card. So I withdrew all that money. I went to work, resigned with immediate effect, got onto the next bus, went home to my mom in Joburg. And he started threatening me with text messages. I'll
Yeah.
find you. You know, we're Nigerians, we've got muti, whatnot. I said, come, I'm by the border. And that was the end of him.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That was quite something.
But for you to see me sitting here,
Yeah.
it's just the grace of God.
Yeah.
I cannot accredit it to a specialist, to a rehabilitation center.
But
to
did
a
you try
pa-
that though?
I did not try any of them. I only tried one NA meeting,
Yeah.
and I felt it was just depressing, because you're sitting in a group and everyone is just thinking of using. You know, so when we left, the next one just goes back to the streets, and he comes
And
back
you
again.
also went back to the
And I
streets.
just went back, and I saw that this is a waste of my time. Until I something in me, my parents, my mom was always praying. My family back here, always praying. Every Wednesday was dedicated to me. They would fast and pray for the
Yes.
whole day.
Yeah, you
for
can
me.
imagine.
And I also started praying when I saw what my mom was going through. So I would
So
sit.
you'd smoke and pray.
Before I smoke, I'd pray. God help me, take me out of this. And that's a secret weapon that people need to know if they're addicted to anything out there. Pray before you take it, because you don't have the power. But you're praying to someone who does, to say, help me. And once you pray continuously, you start believing it. And once you believe it, those chains will be broken.
That's quite something, and it's a massive testimony to see you seated there. To see you seated there and talking about these things. It's a massive testimony. So I'd like to open up the phone lines. We've got our mental health expert in the studio with us. We've got Tapiwa in the studio with us. Maybe we might have a question or two, Rua. Should we open the line? Should we give someone an opportunity to talk? 0772162651. You can phone in. We've got two people who can answer you. We've got a professional in the studio, and we also have someone who's been through it. You can also send your WhatsApps, and we could also entertain those as well as we just continue to hear what's going on.
Okay, as we are waiting for our
Yep.
calls, I had a question here on our WhatsApp. Somebody was asking, Kuti, isn't depression a spiritual attack?
Yeah.
It's definitely not from God.
Our mental health expert. Depression, spiritual
Well,
attack.
Well, I don't know.
Mm.
Probably it's a whole lot of subject matter that I'll probably be not very competent to answer on. But from where I sit and where I stand, it is an illness that is affecting your mental state. That's how we then define it. Like I did say, we have a list of causes that we put to what causes the depression. And you know, like people's belief systems around the world will differ to how they interpret any form of illness.
Right.
And that can never be divorced from who they are. But I guess from where we stand, the call is to say, we can support you, we can help you in the best ways that we can. I like something that he said towards the end when he said, you begin to believe it. So it is the power of the mind as well, where, you know, the help, the support of your family or anyone is also important in the journey. What you believe, your thoughts around things also matter. So yeah, I don't know whether we can sum it up or sum it down and say it is just but a spiritual attack, or it is an illness like any other illness, and we have got many ways to explain it depending on where you're coming from.
Yeah. 0772162651. We're also launching our Faith on Trial WhatsApp group. So click on our status on the WhatsApp platform, or click on our description and you can join the WhatsApp group. We are talking addictions and strongholds today. In the studio with me, I'm with Tapiwa, who's sharing his story on a deep drug addiction that he suffered. And on the line, I think I've got someone. Good evening. You're through to Faith on Trial.
Hello, Faith on Trial.
So you say, Baba?
I'm okay.
Dr. Ronan. Okay, you can go ahead and contribution.
Yeah, funny, my vulnerable family. They like the family of Komatatio, a broken family. Those children are very prone to drug abuse. Any funny now and about Banamkumatatiwa, by Dora Guti, need a greater power to overcome it. That is true. Because you are first bound by strong. Yeah.
All right, my dad was.
Yeah, and the Farah now, you are the
Yeah, there you have it, Tapiwa.
Thank you, my brother.
Someone saying they were touched by you just, surrendering yourself and, saying that the higher power can only help you to escape. If you want to talk to us, 0772162651, you can phone in and you can talk to us. I think I've got someone on the line. Good evening, Star FM. You're through to Faith on Trial. I think we've lost them. How are we looking there, Rua?
Okay, so we have. I lost. Okay, someone here is saying Tapua is a hero as he managed to rehabilitate himself without going into the rehab center. And then we had a very nice message. Yeah. Okay, someone is saying, yeah, hi E.T. I remember when I was hearing a sermon from one of the men of God, and he was saying, the moment you think that everyone is doing it, then it becomes a sin. So I think if you take it as that it's only you, and then you pray and also seek counseling, it's great in helping you, because addiction goes both ways, meaning you're satisfying both the physical and the spiritual, in quotes, demonic aspect of things. We have this one is also quoting the Bible, and it's saying we also have cases in the Bible of the prophesying girl and then the spirit of Legion. Yeah, something along those lines. Yes. And then yeah.
So come through on the phone lines. Do we have anyone there? Good evening, Star FM.
Evening, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Am I on the program?
Yes, Doc, you are.
Okay, fine. What I realize with regards to drug abuse is that when someone makes a decision to get involved, like Tapi was alleging to, you open doors to the devil over your life, because you willingly make a decision to get involved. And once you are in, you have given the enemy chance, and he starts to control your life by these addictions, by these desires, and you are like you are a slave. There is a scripture in the book of Peter which says a man is a slave to whatever he says, or whoever is control over you. So the enemy will be having control over you. And some of these things, they become slightly inexplainable in the academic sense, but they go beyond. The enemy now has taken control over your life. That's my contribution. So the encouragement, young people should not open doors to the enemy over their lives.
Thanks for that contribution. So a lot of contributions coming in. I don't think you're saying you rehabilitated yourself. I don't think you're talking down to professional help.
Definitely not.
You're not doing that, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Because maybe it might get it may hit the ear the wrong way.
To be honest,
Yeah.
maybe I also felt that there was no one really who had the financial capabilities to take me to those institutions.
Mm.
So I tried to find my own way, and I remembered the teachings of old to say, but there was a God I was told about when I was growing up. Let me try that. And I just surrendered to him, and I woke up on the 11th of November 2 years ago, a changed man. The urge was taken care of. I could go out boldly and just face someone with that pipe and be like, I don't do that anymore. And there's no other way to explain it. So I didn't rehabilitate myself. No, I didn't lock myself in the house until I was clean. And no. I would still go out boldly and still proclaim to those people I used to smoke with that I have changed my life. And I would still go even after that, more to say, guys, Jesus loves you. Don't ever forget that. So I think my rehabilitation was in heaven.
Yeah. So Tapio is a rare case, Noreen, I'll come to you. Is that correct? Where, he gets out of this and leaves to tell the tale.
Well, not a rare case, but a good case.
A good case, okay.
A good case, but not rare in the sense. And, it's good that like he managed to get out of this maybe with minimal professional support. And I like to give even the examples of how we all get flus at some point in time in our lives. You may probably just take your warm cup of water. I take it with lemon. He ended up going to the doctor with an antibiotic. Someone ends up even being admitted. So it's a whole lot of a process, not entirely like linear, if I would call that, but it's complex in its own sense. Because if someone even goes into rehabilitation and they don't have adequate family support, they may still struggle despite the rehabilitation. So it's a lot of factors that come together. That power of the mind, the desire to get better as well, it comes into play. So even if I check you into rehabilitation and there's no desire from you, it might not be adequate. So I think it's a lot of things. It's not linear like A equals B kind of equation. There's a lot of permutations along the way.
But I think we can agree that it's a process as well.
It is.
He was in it for 5 years.
Yes.
And it wasn't a deliverance and healing 2-hour session that you got into and you walked out and you are now great. Panache was in it for 10 years with pornography and masturbation. And things of that nature. So I think we also need to have people know that it's a journey, and it's Panache said, I'm free. Then after 3 weeks, I'm in it again. What's going on? But it eventually died down, and now she's clear of pornography.
Some days are better than others.
So I like that. Until you get better. This is us. Time flies. What did I say? What did I say? So I'll just give you an opportunity to give us your parting words. Do we have anything on our socials, Rua, that you're itching to tell us about before I give them an opportunity to say their goodbyes?
No, nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay.
But people are actually seeking help. Kuti, how do we then?
Yeah.
What do we do when we need help?
Right.
Someone is actually saying, I'm struggling with pornography.
Yeah.
I need help.
Yeah, it's with young people nowadays. They've got access to internet. It's all over.
Yeah.
It's pornography is now rampant more now than it was back then. Internet.
Actually,
So,
the what we are seeing is children are being initiated, if I would use that word, into pornography much earlier than maybe in years gone by, because right now they are probably watching their video and that ad comes up and they're seeing these things. So children as young as 4 are being exposed to pornography. That is actually the statistic. Like as young as 3, as 4, they are being exposed. So we are talking about that early exposure. Remember, we spoke about with drugs, we spoke about with, now we're speaking about it with pornography. So sometimes it's happening way before we are thinking. So we also need to think about safeguarding those gadgets around our homes to be tech safe, if I would use that word.
Wow. Yeah.
One last thing. So it's going to mem there. So I think last week we did a discussion on breakfast regarding drugs, and then one of the peers or the young youth said our parents, especially during exams, they pressurize us, no, you have to pass, you have to whatever. So they then take drugs as a coping mechanism to say, if I take drugs, then I'm going to be able to read better, I'm going to be able to focus, I'm going to be able to whatever.
Pressure.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that those two grade 7 students who were drunk, you know, with the exam. So a lot of things are happening, but we are here to raise awareness, and we are also here to try and talk about these issues to make the nation a better place for me today and for the future generations. So let me give you your parting words now. Tapiwa.
Okay, very quickly, I just want to say that I heard the good doc here speak about different beliefs, which are there.
Yeah.
People believe in different things. People depend on different things. But I am here to speak on what worked for me.
Yeah.
I know there's someone listening out there who has tried everything.
Yeah.
And they failed. They've tried cutting out certain things in their life. They've tried this, they've tried that, and they failed. I want to suggest one thing that I have seen with my own eyes, that when all else fails, try lock yourself in a room, get on your knees, and talk to the Creator. Because we're too many times now, people are trusting in the creation, but not in the Creator. So we want this medication, we want to talk to this person, we want to get help from that person. But why not get help from the person that created all these things? Who listens to you 24/7, 365 every single day of your life, and does not turn a blind eye to what your problem is. If you've tried everything and it's failed, all I have to say to you is try talking to God. If you don't know God, start from there. Just try it by yourself and start there talking straight from your heart and see what happens. There's certain things that are shifted in the atmosphere that we can't see when you start talking to God. Anyone cannot deny that the times we're living in are very, very terrible. Especially us. We grew up in times where there was less traffic. Technology wasn't as advanced. The things we see on TV were not as they are now.
Yeah.
But the things that our children are exposed to, especially the children, it's unbelievable what we're being exposed to. That can only speak to say that there's an enemy at play. There has to be something greater than what meets the eye. If we think it's normal, if we think kuti mskanzo varikungokura ndo zvinoita vana, no, we have something else coming. And we have to get close to God. If you're not, this is the year of harvest. If you're not on God's side, I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah. And Madam, I'll come to you.
All right, so I think I'll just emphasize that when we speak about addictions in all forms, it is an illness.
Yes.
The people battling that, they don't need our condemnation. They need our support. The parents of the people battling that, even as families, as communities, they need our support. When the community comes together, when there is support for the addict as they recover, for the families as they battle this, and there is no shame, more support is bound to emerge, and it may get better and better. And I know someone did ask about where they can get help when they are struggling with these things. I always say the quickest and easiest place, go to the clinic nearest to you. They can then direct you through the healthcare system to where else you can be.
Do you have any numbers for us that you can share with us?
All right.
Other places where guys can go?
Okay, so maybe you are wherever you are and you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? I can give out the number for the Zimbabwe Psychological Association.
Okay.
You reach them, they will try to connect you to the clinic nearest you or the therapist nearest you or a rehabilitation center that is close by. So that will be 0772 634 466.
So we are going to be posting these numbers on our official Faith on Trial WhatsApp group. Go on to our WhatsApp platform, click the status and join the Faith on Trial group. We're just going to be posting stuff on there. Also, our description also has the link to join our official WhatsApp Faith on Trial group that we're launching today. So come through and join. I can see a lot of people have joined using the link. Click the link and join the Faith on Trial WhatsApp group today.
E.T., I also have a number for the National Addiction Helpline.
Okay.
And it is 0771 611 311. That's the National Addiction Helpline. Whatever you're addicted to, they can help you.
They can help you there. Yeah. So that is Faith on Trial for today. And our quiz question was how many people saw Jesus after the resurrection? How many people saw Jesus after he resurrected? Rua, do we have anyone there, or you lost track of everything?
I lost track, but we had 2, 12, 500, 120.
Things like that.
Yes.
All right. So in 1 Corinthians 15:3-8, Paul gives a list of people to whom the reason Jesus appeared. These witnesses to the resurrected Jesus include the Apostle Peter, James, the brother of Jesus, and most intriguingly, a group of more than 500 people at the same time. So quite a few witnesses saw the resurrected Jesus. That is a Faith on Trial from me, E.T. and Rua. We will be back same time next week.